Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to explain with you the forms of communication. And by the end of this chapter, we're going to see the types of communities. It's over there. The types of societies or communities based on the style of communication they use. So let's get started. At the beginning, it is so necessary to see that we have two forms for communication. The first is called the verbal communication, and the second is called the non-verbal communication. So verbal, once we say verbal communication, what we mean by is the real language, the real written or spoken language. So what we mean by is the alphabets, the words, the sentences, the structures, and so on. So it is a deliberate form of interaction that includes the use of spoken language with its own combination of codes and sounds or diverse alphabets to transmit meaningful messages. In other words, it is what we say orally. This is the meaning of verbal. So what we say orally or what we write on a piece of paper. Now, what is written must be either words, sentences, or anything to say. It is not the pictures or drawings, no. Okay, now the non-verbal way to communicate means a spontaneous form of interaction that includes non-linguistic signs, codes, or behaviors. So once we communicate with anybody, by using anything else rather than the spoken language or the written language, so we mean by the non-verbal communication. Unlike the verbal communication, the non-verbal communication has no fixed rules in its system. Okay, this means that once we say verbal way of communication, so we mean by the language, and the language has some fixed rules regarding the structures, the grammar, the semantics, the pragmatics, and so on. Whereas in non-verbal communication, we don't have fixed rules. They could be changed a day after day or a year after year. And what is special with the nonverbal way of communication is that they can be used universally in all over the world. They can be understood. Most of them can be understood wherever you go in the world. Okay. Now, the ways people communicate nonverbally, I mean, once people communicate with each other by using something else rather than the language. So we have two types. We have the face-to-face non-verbal communication, and we have the written language as a non-verbal communication. So the face-to-face non-verbal communication, it includes facial recognitions, facial expressions. It includes anything that is made once you meet a person face-to-face. So it includes facial expressions, like if you are happy, sad, and so on, body movements, if you are moving your hands or heads or legs, posture, physical appearance, attire, physical space, eye contact, and paralanguage. Now, paralanguage, it has to do with your voice, the pitch, the volume, the style, the rhythm, the intonation, and the stress of the words. I'll give you some examples here regarding the paralanguage. Now, for example, if you want to say hi, the word hi, but you want to say it with high volume, okay? It means that you are happy or that you are in a good mood. But if you say it in a low volume, it means sometimes that you are not so happy. Regarding the style, if you are talking to somebody in a polite way or in a rude way, this is the meaning of face-to-face nonverbal communication. The rhythm, the tone, this is the meaning of rhythm. It means that the tone of your voice. Sometimes you can say the word hi to express that you are happy or to express that you are angry or sad or something else. Sometimes the same expression is said in many ways and they express many meanings. Like, for example, if your mom calls you to ask about the mark of your exam. So simply she can say, how was your exam? For example, how was your exam? It means that she's okay and she just wants to to see if you did good in the exam or not. But if she says the same expression in this way, how was your exam? How was your exam? It means that she is angry and she doesn't trust you or your answer or your presentation in the exam. And if she says, for example, how was your exam? It means that she trusts you and she's waiting for the high marks. And you can apply this in any kind of structures or conversations. So paralanguage means what you do with your voice. If you raise your voice or make it low, or the style of communication, the tone, the intonation, the stress that you make on the words. We will get some examples later on. So all these forms help the people to understand the context when the words could not express the meaning. Okay, the other one regarding the non-verbal way of communication is the written language, but it does not mean the words or the sentences written. It means something else. It includes the combination of written signs, anything that is drawn or pictures or colored. So this is referred to as the written language in non-verbal way of communication. So it includes written signs and symbols which carry specific meanings. And this is actually very obvious in advertisements. Like when we have, for example, an advertisement for internet coverage. So they will have a specific picture with some specific colors. So what we see in the streets for advertisements will be only as a kind of non-verbal way of communication in the umbrella or under the umbrella of written language. Besides, it includes the author's writing style and the physical layout of the page. Sometimes the written language as a non-verbal way to communicate can appear once you are changing the features of your writing. So you are changing the font type, the font size, the line spacing, the images, the borders, and also included. Like when we say these examples, when I send an email, for example, or a report, and I want to highlight a word or to give it an extra emphasis, so simply I'll make it with bold, or sometimes I will underline it, or sometimes I will make it as italics. So this means I am changing the features of this word just to highlight it, or just to tell you that this word is so important, focus on it. So the one who breaks the window is Ahmed. Ahmed here is written with bold and with the font size that is bigger than the other words, just to focus on this one. Now, the changing features here of this word is an example for non-verbal written language. The underlying here is another way to non-verbal written language. I'll tell you the day that the exam will be held on. That will be held in, sorry. So I need you to focus more on this word. No one has the chance to repeat the call. So I will give extra emphasis or importance to this word. So I underline it, I make it with bold, and so on. Sometimes I will change the line spacing between the words. Like, for example, I have this paragraph. If I want to make it like informal or to tell you that it is not so important, so I'll just make it with different highlighting or different font features. Okay, so here we have some examples for the non-verbal ways to communicate. This is the face-to-face one. We have facial expressions, and each face expresses a specific feeling. Here we have something written for non-verbal way to communicate. The written language, nonverbal communication, as I've told you, it appears more in advertisements. So these girls, these colors, and this car, and this one, just to make the words to be bigger in size. So all of these colors and pictures, and the colors here, and the font type or the font size that they use, the font size that is bigger than the others. All of these features are good examples for the written language nonverbal communication. Now, to sum up, we can say that the meaning of spoken message comes from three sources. The actual meaning of the words spoken, it covers only 7%. For example, when I say the exam was difficult. So the word or the article the noun exam, the auxiliary was or the verb was, and very and difficult. These 5 words, if I say this statement, so the meaning given by these 5 words will be covered by 7% only. Okay, now the way we say the words, if I say, I mean the vocal qualities, like if my tone was happy, my tone was angry, my tone was like surprised or tensed or whatever, the posing, the pitch, and so on. This is called the paralanguage. If I am changing my voice or the changes that I make by my voice, which are referred to as paralanguage, this covers 38% of the meaning. Now, the highest percentage will be covered by the non-verbal way to communicate. The other non-verbal avenues like facial expressions, appearance, and gestures said by when I say this statement will cover 58%. So by the end, we can say that to deliver a message or to deliver an information, okay, the non-verbal ways to communicate will deliver this message in a strong way or a stronger way than the meaning themselves, the meanings of the words or the semantic meaning of the words. Okay, now we have 2 exercises here. I need you just to make them by yourselves. It is just to practice what I say before. The first one is that say the word okay in different ways, to feel happy, to feel sorry, and to feel sad. Now, the same word, I mean okay, will be said just to say that you are very happy, and it could be said to say that you are sorry or to say that you feel sad. So this means that you have to change your facial recognitions, facial expressions, the physical appearance. Sometimes you have to play with the paralanguage as well. And think of this expression. Think about the different ways the religious statement صلي على النبي is said in the Arabian culture. Now, صلي على النبي, I'll tell you some hints. صلي على النبي could be said in different ways and in different situations. Sometimes it could be said just to make somebody calm, that I face or I meet somebody who is very angry and I'll tell him صلي على النبي just to make him calm. Sometimes if I see something very beautiful and I will ask somebody just to صلي على النبي because it's very beautiful. Sometimes it will be said just to say that I am surprised of something. So you tell me something and I am really surprised, or I don't expect what happened. So I'll say صلي على النبي. Does it really made like that? And so on. So you can think about many different ways and cases that this statement is said based on your paralanguage and your facial expressions. Okay. Now we will move to the relationship between verbal and nonverbal communication. Nonverbal messages are used to accent, complement, contradict, regulate, and substitute the verbal messages. Okay, now before getting started, we have to say that for the verbal message, we mean by the pure or the real words that we use from a dictionary just to send a message to somebody, whether we're talking about orally, way to communicate, or by writing. So if I want to say, for example, good morning, so this word, what I mean by is good as good and morning as morning. So this is orally, or I will write it in a piece of paper or an electronic message just to send it to somebody. Okay, now the nonverbal way to communicate will be used to, let's say, to support or to give a power to these verbal messages through these procedures. So we will get an idea about every single one. So what is the meaning of accent? What is the meaning of complement? And so on. Here is a look of every single one of these procedures or functions. At the beginning, when we say that the non-verbal way to communicate is used to accent the verbal message, it means that to ensure and emphasize the meaning by stressing the words. So simply, I will make extra stress on this word just to give it an extra emphasis or to give it an extra importance. Let's consider, this is an example or a practice. Let's consider this statement. Someone stole my mobile today. So I will say these or this statement in 4 different ways, and in every way it has a different meaning. So I will stress the word someone in the first statement. Then I will stress the word stole. Then I'll stress my mobile. Then I'll stress today. And in every case, I will have different meaning. We will see how. Okay. Now, when I say someone stole my mobile today, by stressing the subject, I mean someone, the reply will be, who do you think do that? Who do you think do that? So I am focusing on the person who stole your mobile. Was he a man or woman? Was he Ahmed, for example, or Sarah, or who? Okay, when I say someone stole my mobile today, by stressing this word, I mean stole. So the reply will be, are you sure you didn't misplace it? Are you sure that it is stolen? You don't misplace it? Or some of your friends take it by mistake, for example? No, I'm sure that it is stolen. So someone stole my mobile today. Someone stole my mobile today. Okay, let's go ahead now to my mobile. So when I say someone stole my mobile today, by stressing this word, the reply will be, what is its brand? How much is it? What is its color? So the emphasis will be about the mobile itself. I'm concerning with the mobile, so I'll ask you some questions about the mobile. I don't care about who stole it or whether it is stolen or not, but I'm just asking you about the mobile because you make a stress on it. So someone stole my mobile today. Okay, the last way is that to stress the word today. So by saying someone stole my mobile today. So by stressing this word or the adverb, the reply will be, when did you see it last? Okay, so I will ask you about some details regarding the last time you see this mobile, or if you lose it today or yesterday or something like that. Okay, so accent means you make a stress on a word just to give this word an extra emphasis. Fine. The second function is called complement. We will see what is the meaning of complement. Complement means the body movements that come to reinforce or repeat and underscore the verbal message. Like for example, when you wave your hand to say goodbye. Okay, so you are making 2 things at the same time. You are saying goodbye, so this is the verbal, and beside you are waving your hand. So the waving of your hand, this comes just to complete the meaning of goodbye. Or when you use your fingers to explain the directions for a destination. So you are saying some instructions to somebody to orient him to some directions, and beside you are using your finger just to say that you have to go straight, you have to turn right, turn left, and so on. So this is the meaning of complement. The third function is called contradict. It means that the nonverbal movements help the receiver know the true feelings of the sender and respond accordingly. In other words, you say something, but the reaction is the opposite. This appears so much with many people. Like when I ask him, "Are you okay?" he will say, "I'm okay." Now, the exact meaning for "I'm okay" means something positive. But if the facial recognitions or the facial expressions appeared on his face tells us something else, tell us that he is, for example, he's very sad. So this is the meaning of contradict. So contradict means to say something, but the reaction on your face is something else or is the opposite. And here is an example. Like when I say, "I am all right." So this is a positive expression. While you are crying, for example, will be different if you say, "I am all right," when you are smiling. So if you are smiling and you say, "I'm all right," it means that you are really in a good mood. But when you say, "I'm all right," but you are crying, it means that you are trying to be good. You are trying to be all right. Here, the receiver will depend on your reaction, not on your words. So the receiver will depend on the non-verbal functions used by your face just to say that you are really right or not. Okay, the next function is that regulate. Okay, it means to synchronize or structure the conversations. Many non-verbal movements are used by cultures to indicate whose turn to speak now and whose turn to listen. This appears in conferences, for example, or in meetings, or in any situation that people have some conversations with each other. So I can move my head or my hand or something with my eyes just to say that now is your turn to come and to speak, and now you have to stop speaking, and so on. So we use different gestures, head nods, eye contact, or vocal inflections to indicate that we want to continue speaking or yield the floor to another. Sometimes my vocal inflections will indicate that I am finishing my conversation or I'm finishing my speech, something like that. You are saying something, so it will be pitch out, like you say blah 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 blah, something like that. So you are raising your hand, your voice, and gradually you are making it low. So this means that you are finishing your speech without telling us that you are finishing, but it appears through your voice. Okay. The last function is that substitute. It means to replace verbal messages with non-verbal ones because the context does not allow us to communicate verbally. So the sign language is used here. This will happen in any situation and with any people. That is, you can communicate with each other verbally and non-verbally, but the context or the situation or the place will not allow you to say something verbally. So communication between two divers underwater, for example, they will not be able to listen to each other underwater because of the water pressure and so on. So they will communicate with each other using the sign language. So this is the meaning of substitute. Okay, communication between friends in a library. Okay, or when you are hailing a taxi, so you're communicating with this driver just because you can't communicate with him by or verbally because you are in the street and he's in his car. Okay, now here is an exercise that is what hand gestures mean in the below pictures. So you have to get what is the meaning of this sign, and that sign, and so on. Many of them are used in daily life and in daily communication. Okay. Now, the last point that we have to cover in this chapter is the styles of communication, or the types of societies or the types of cultures based on the style of communication. Now, by the end, we will get two types of societies or two types of people. The first one is that they use direct communication. This community will be said as low context interaction. And the next one, when we have indirect communication, this one will be said to be high context interaction. We will see what is the meaning of in each one. Now, once we have direct communication, so this society will be low context interaction. People here are more individualists than collectivists and have fewer shared experiences. They need to spell things out and be more explicit. In other words, they say exactly what they mean, and the goal of exchange is to get or give an information. Okay, now these kind of people will communicate with each other by using direct language and direct communication. So like when we say in Arabic ما في لف ولا دوران, or ما في لت وعجن. Okay, this type of people, they don't feel shame to say their opinions. They don't feel shameful to express their information or data, or to reject or to agree with someone. So once they say, for example, no, this means no. Once they say, I will see, it means I will think deeper. I promise you to think deeper. If he says, for example, I don't know, so it means that he has no idea about the subject. And this appears with many people in Europe, in America, in Japan, in China. So they have direct way to communicate and low context interaction. Now, on the other side, we have indirect communication. These people actually will feel shameful to say no, will feel shameful to agree or to disagree with someone or with something. So it is not necessary for these people, if they say no, to mean no. When they say that, okay, I will see, it means that he refuses something, but he is ashamed or he feels shameful to say no or to regret. So people here have to infer, guess, and suggest or imply than say things directly. I'll give you an example. So responding silent when your approval is asked, this means agree. And this is appeared with some societies when they say السكوت علامة الرضا. Or when they say, I don't know, it means no, but he's ashamed to say that directly. Or when he say, I will see, okay, I will see. For example, will you attend with us today in this conference? He'll say, okay, I will see. It means that, no, I will not attend with you. Okay, now the last point that we have to cover is that the difference between the word intercultural communication and cross-cultural communication. Intercultural communication means when two communicators come from similar cultural background, like he's from Saudi Arabia and the other is from Egypt, so they are both from the same Arabian culture. And cross-cultural communication, it means when they come from different backgrounds, one from Europe and one from Arabian country. So the communication between them will be somehow different. That is all for today. See you next time. Goodbye.